Welcome to this comprehensive lesson on how scientists can successfully execute AI startup ideas without traditional business experience. We're going to approach this systematically, like any good scientific problem. Let's start with the core question. Do scientists need to abandon their labs and move to Silicon Valley to build successful AI startups? The short answer is no, but let's examine why with scientific rigor. Many scientists believe they must physically relocate to Silicon Valley. This is what I call the geographic fallacy. In the pre-internet era, this was largely true, but in the AI age, this assumption needs re-examination. Think of it like a phase transition in physics. Before 2020, there was a strong geographic advantage to being in Silicon Valley. After 2020, with remote work normalization, we've undergone a phase transition to a distributed model. Let's quantify this with what I call the network access metric. How many relevant connections can you make per unit effort? Network value N equals contact C times quality Q times trust T. In Silicon Valley, you have high contact rate, medium quality because you meet many people randomly, and high trust from face-to-face interaction. Online, you have medium contact rate, but high quality because you can target exactly who you need, and medium trust that builds over time through consistent interaction. Let's assign numbers. Silicon Valley might score 100 times 0.6 times 0.9 equals 54. Online might score 60 times 0.9, 5 times 0.7 equals about 40, so in-person still wins, but the gap is much smaller than most people think. Now let's address finding co-founders. This is actually a matching optimization problem, similar to protein folding or molecular docking. The key insight: you need complementary skills, not identical ones. If you're a scientist with deep AI knowledge, you don't need another AI scientist. You need someone who understands go-to-market, sales, or product. Think of it like lock and key in biochemistry. You need shapes that fit together, not two identical shapes. Your technical depth fits with someone's market execution ability. Let's calculate the probability of finding the right co-founder in different venues. Probability of success equals probability of finding someone times probability they're a good match times probability they'll commit. Online platforms like Y Combinator's co-founder matching have about 10,000 active users. If 1% are right for you, that's 100 candidates. If you can effectively evaluate 1%, 30% are good matches, and 40% will commit. Your probability is 0.0012, or about 0.1% per person evaluated. At an in-person startup event, you might meet 50 to 100 people. Maybe 5% are potentially right. With better evaluation from face-to-face but lower initial filter quality, you might get 0.006 or 0.6% per person. Here's the scientifically optimal approach. Use online platforms for broad filtering, then meet in person or video call for deep evaluation. Phase 1. Use platforms like YC co-founder matching, LinkedIn, Twitter, and AI-focused communities to identify 20 to 30 potential matches. Phase 2. Have 5 to 10 deep conversations over video calls. Discuss vision, work style, equity splits, and run small projects together. Phase 3. Before officially partnering, work together for 1 to 3 months on a concrete project. This is like running an experiment before committing to the full study. Now let's do some back-of-envelope calculations. How much time and money does each approach actually require? Scenario A. Move to Silicon Valley. Cost of living for 1 year. About $60,000 for rent, plus $30,000 for living expenses. Total, $90,000. Time cost, 3 to 6 months to build network. Total cost is $90,000 plus 6 months of opportunity cost, where you're networking instead of building. Scenario B. Stay remote but travel strategically. 4 trips per year to key events. $2,000 per trip. Total travel, $8,000. Living cost in lower cost area. $30,000. Total cost is $38,000, saving $52,000 while maintaining 80% of the networking benefit. Plus, you have more time actually building your product. Let's discuss team composition from first principles. What's the minimum viable team for an AI startup? Option 1. Solo founder hiring contractors. This works if you have business experience or if the product is very technical with clear market fit. Option 2. Two-person team with technical and business split. This is the most common and often most effective structure. It's like having both theory and experiment in science. Option 3. 3 co-founders. 1 technical lead, 1 product lead, 1 business lead. This provides more coverage but requires more careful equity splitting and decision-making. Think of it like a 3-body problem in physics. Each founder needs clear responsibilities, and the system needs to be stable. Too much overlap creates conflict, too little creates gaps. Here's a critical question. How long does it take a scientist to acquire minimum business skills versus finding a co-founder? To learn fundamental business skills, customer discovery, basic finance, and sales, you need about 200 to 500 hours of focused learning. That's 3 to 6 months at 10 hours per week. Finding the right co-founder takes about 100 to 300 hours of active searching and evaluating. That's 2 to 4 months at 10 hours per week. The ratio is about 2.5, meaning learning takes 2.5 times longer than finding someone. But learning gives you permanent skills while a co-founder might not work out. My recommendation is to do both in parallel. Spend 60% of your time building product and learning business basics, 40% networking and searching for potential co-founders. Here's something most scientists miss. You must talk to potential customers before writing a single line of code. This is not optional. The scientific approach is to talk to 50 to 100 potential customers before building. This is your experimental phase. You're testing hypotheses about pain points and willingness to pay. Think of it exactly like the scientific method. Form hypothesis, design experiment, collect data, analyze results, then build solution. Most scientists try to skip straight to building. Now let's address funding. Do you need venture capital immediately? Let's calculate the minimum runway needed. For an AI startup, your main costs are compute, your time, and maybe one other person. Let's calculate minimum viable runway. Cloud compute for development, $2,000 per month. Minimal living expenses, $3,000 per month. Total, $5,000 per month. For 6 months of runway, you need $30,000. This is achievable through savings, grants, or small angel investment. Many successful AI startups started with founders working nights and weekends. This eliminates funding needs until you have product-market fit signals. Here's the massive advantage you have now. AI tools dramatically reduce the skill gap between technical and non-technical founders. With tools like GitHub Copilot, Claude, and GPT-4, a scientist can build functional prototypes without years of software engineering experience. Design tools with AI assistance let you create professional interfaces without design expertise. The barrier to entry has collapsed. I estimate AI tools give you a 5 to 10 times skill multiplier. Tasks that took 40 hours now take 4 to 8 hours. Let's look at actual data from successful scientist-founded AI startups in the past 5 years. About 45% of successful AI startups founded by scientists since 2020 were remote first from day one. Examples include companies like Anthropic, which started partially remote. About 60% started with a solo technical founder who hired business expertise within 6 to 12 months, not as co-founder, but as early employee or advisor. About 30% were university spinouts, where the scientists partnered with university tech transfer offices to find business co-founders through structured programs. Let me give you a decision framework. Answer these questions honestly to determine your optimal path. Question 1. Do you have at least $50,000 in savings? If yes, you can bootstrap remotely. If no, keep your day job or find a co-founder with resources. Question 2. Are you comfortable talking to strangers and selling? If yes, you might succeed solo. If no, you absolutely need a business co-founder. Question 3. Do you already know 20 plus people in your target customer segment? If yes, you have distribution advantage. If no, you need someone who does. If you answered yes to 2 or more questions, you can likely start solo and bootstrap. If only one yes, actively search for a co-founder online while building. If 0 yes answers, you must find a co-founder before committing full-time. Here's a crucial question specific to scientists. What is your actual moat? Most scientists overestimate their technical moat. Hard truth. Your PhD or publications are not a moat. There are thousands of AI PhDs. Your moat must be something more specific. Real moats include proprietary data access from your research, unique domain expertise in an underserved vertical, or novel algorithmic approaches that are 10x better, not 10% better. Other moats are exclusive partnerships with key institutions, regulatory expertise in complex domains like healthcare or finance, or network effects from being first in a specific niche. Think of moat strength as defensibility times value created. You need both. A highly defensible position that creates little value is worthless, and vice versa. Let's map out a realistic timeline from idea to first revenue for a scientist-founded AI startup. Months 1 to 2. Pure customer discovery. Talk to 50 to 100 potential customers. No coding yet. Validate that the problem is real and people will pay. Months 3 to 4. Build minimum viable product. This should be scrappy, possibly even a Wizard of Oz MVP where you manually do what AI will eventually do. Months 5 to 6. Get 3 to 5 pilot customers. Charge them something, even if it's small. This validates willingness to pay and gives you crucial feedback. Months 7 to 12. Iterate based on feedback, improve product, and scale to 10 to 20 customers. At this point, you should be generating $10,000 to $50,000 in annual recurring revenue. This is your critical path. Each phase builds on the previous. Skipping customer discovery is the most common failure mode for scientist founders. Let me tell you the most common failure modes I see with scientist founders so you can avoid them. Failure mode 1. Building in isolation for 6 to 12 months before talking to customers. This is like running an experiment without defining success criteria first. It's backwards. Failure mode 2. Over-engineering. Scientists love elegant solutions, but customers care about their problem being solved, not how elegant your architecture is. Failure mode 3. Underpricing because you don't feel confident charging. If you're solving a real problem, charge appropriately. B2, BAI tools should be thousands to tens of thousands per year, not hundreds. Failure mode 4. Waiting for the perfect co-founder or the perfect product. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Start with good enough and iterate. Now let's flip this around. What are the unique advantages you have as a scientist that business people don't have? Advantage 1. You understand the technology deeply, not superficially. You can evaluate what's actually possible versus hype. This lets you avoid dead ends that MBAs might chase. Advantage 2. You think systematically and experimentally. You're comfortable with uncertainty and iterating based on data. This is actually the core of lean startup methodology. Advantage 3. You have access to cutting-edge research and researchers. You can recruit top talent from academia. You can license technology from universities. Advantage 4. When selling to technical buyers, your credentials matter. A PhD talking to another PhD or to engineers has instant credibility that an MBA lacks. Think of it as complementary probability distributions. Scientists have high technical ability with lower market knowledge. MBAs are the opposite. The question is whether you expand your distribution or find someone with the complementary distribution. Let me give you a concrete, step-by-step strategy for finding a co-founder online, since this is the most scalable approach. Step 1. Build in public for 30 days. Tweet or post on LinkedIn daily about what you're learning, building, and discovering. This creates inbound interest from potential co-founders. Step 2. Join 3 to 5 online communities. Y Combinator co-founder matching, relevant Discord servers, Hacker News, and AI-focused Slack groups. Be active and helpful. Step 3. Aim for 20 coffee chats per month with potential co-founders. This is a numbers game. You need volume to find the right match. That's 1 per business day. Step 4. Create a structured framework to evaluate each person. Rate them on complementary skills, value alignment, work ethic signals, and chemistry. Be systematic, not emotional. Step 5. Before making anyone a co-founder, work together on a real project for 4 to 8 weeks. This reveals working style, reliability, and skill level far better than interviews. Here's an underappreciated advantage of starting remote. Capital efficiency. Let's calculate the difference. Silicon Valley burn rate for 2 founders. $25,000 in salary and benefits, $8,000 in office and overhead. Total, $33,000 per month. Remote burn rate, $15,000 in salary with lower cost of living, $2,000 in overhead. Total, $17,000 per month. That's roughly half. With $500,000 in funding, Silicon Valley gives you 15 months of runway. Remote gives you 29 months. That's 14 extra months to find product market fit. That extra 14 months could literally be the difference between success and failure. Most startups take longer than expected to find product market fit. Let me outline the minimum skill stack you need to acquire as a scientist founder. Technical skills. You already have machine learning, programming, and system design. Check. Product skills. Learn basic user research and design thinking. This takes about 50 to 100 hours. Read the mom test and do practice interviews. Business skills. Understand unit economics, basic financial modeling, and sales fundamentals. Another 100 hours. Read the sales acceleration formula. Marketing skills. Basic content marketing and SEO. This is how you'll acquire early customers without a big budget. About 50 hours of learning. Total learning investment. 250 hours, or about 6 months at 10 hours per week. This is achievable while keeping a day job. Let's talk about optimal funding strategy for scientist founders. Stage 0. Validate the idea nights and weekends while keeping your day job. This costs nothing and validates your commitment. Stage 1. Once you have initial customer interest, raise a small amount. $50,000 to $150,000 from angels or grants like NSFSBIR. This gives you 6 to 12 months full-time. Stage 2. At product market fit signals, meaning 100,000 plus in, arrange by growing 10% plus month over month. Raise a seed round of 500,000 to 2 million. Stage 3. Once you hit 1 to 2 million in a range buy with clear path to 10 million, raise a Series A of 5 to 15 million to scale. Each funding stage should be tied to specific milestones. Don't raise more than you need to early, as it dilutes you unnecessarily and adds pressure. Let me give you a reality check with actual statistics. About 90% of startups fail. This is true whether founded by scientists or MBAs. Having a PhD doesn't change these odds significantly. Average time to exit for successful startups is 7 to 10 years. This is a long-term commitment, not a 2-year project. Only about 1% of funded startups reach unicorn status of $1 billion plus valuation. Most successful outcomes are acquisitions in the $20 to $200 million range. Your probability of building a successful, sustainable business that generates meaningful returns is probably 10 to 15% if you execute well. But the upside is highly asymmetric. Success can mean 10 million to 100 million in personal wealth. Failure usually means you spent a few years learning and can return to academia or industry. Let me synthesize everything into clear, actionable recommendations. Recommendation 1. Start remote to maximize capital efficiency. Travel to key events quarterly. Don't move to Silicon Valley unless you raise significant funding or have strong evidence it's necessary. Recommendation 2. Actively search for a business co-founder online using the strategy I outlined. Insist on a trial period of real work before making it official. Recommendation 3. Customer discovery is not optional. Talk to 50 to 100 potential customers before building anything significant. Validate willingness to pay. Recommendation 4. Invest 250 hours over 6 months learning basic product, business, and marketing skills. You don't need to be expert, but you need fundamentals. Recommendation 5. Bootstrap as long as possible. Only raise money when you have clear evidence of product market fit and a plan to use the capital to accelerate growth. Let me close with a perspective that might be controversial but important. Your scientific training is both an asset and a liability. It's an asset because you think rigorously and systematically. It's a liability because you might over-optimize and undership. Business is fundamentally about iteration speed, not perfection. Ship fast, learn fast, adapt fast. This is uncomfortable for scientists trained to be thorough and rigorous. The world needs more scientist founders, especially in AI. You understand the technology deeply. You can evaluate what's real versus hype. You can build defensible technology. Most importantly, you don't need permission to start. You don't need to move to Silicon Valley. You don't need a co-founder on day one. You don't need venture capital immediately. You need curiosity, resilience, and willingness to learn.